Welcome to the Checkered Floor Garage. This is the second video in a series of mods specific for the Kawasaki Vulcan 750. In this video, I'll be showing you how to do the two-wire mod and then the Headlight Relay Bypass Mod, which is also called the blue wire mod. Both of these mods are electrical modifications done to the junction box in order to prevent prone-to-fail relays. It should help with the overall condition and health of the electrical system. But keep in mind that these are mods, so none of this is covered in any kind of service manual or designed or endorsed or anything like that by Kawasaki. So do this to your own Vulcan at your own risk. I've done it maybe, I think, 10,000 miles ago and maybe 2 years ago at this point, and I've had nothing but success with these mods. The two-wire mod bypasses the prone-to-fail starter relay in the junction box, and it can help avoid a no-start situation with a starter button failure. It can also help prevent brownouts and overall charging issues, charging system issues. And then lastly, it can possibly improve your ignition voltage. However, the one side effect, the one consequence of the two-wire mod is that you bypass the neutral safety lockout for this motorcycle. So what that means is that if your bike is in first gear accidentally and you go to start it, the bike will engage the starter, with this mod activated. As it comes from the factory, if the bike is not in neutral and you try to push the starter button will not engage. So just to show you what that looks like, there is the neutral indicator. And right now the bike's in neutral, the key's on, and that light is lit up. So the bike will engage the starter both from the factory and with this two-wire mod activated. However, let's say you accidentally click it down into first gear and it's no longer in neutral. The motorcycle from the factory will not engage the start button. But if you do this mod, the bike will try to start even though it's in first gear. So to bypass that, just to kind of build up some good practice, I always like to look at these two lights before any time I start the motorcycle. Make sure that number one, it's in neutral, and number two, that the oil light is working. Now that I've talked a little bit about the two-wire mod, let's talk about the headlight bypass mod, again also known as the blue wire mod. This mod can help prevent a dead headlight due to a headlight relay failure, and this can also prevent your stator from burning out if the headlight relay coil shorts. Unlike the two-wire mod, this blue wire mod doesn't require any wires to be cut, so it is completely reversible. And lastly, a side effect of the blue wire mod is that your headlight will now turn on when you turn the key to the on position, whereas before, stock from the factory, the headlight only comes on after you turn on the engine, and after the engine runs for a moment or two, then the headlight will turn on. So with this mod being done, your headlight's on as you're hitting the starter button, and it can lower the total available voltage going to the starter, because again, your battery is powering the starter and also the headlight. I haven't had any issues with that, but then again, I do have an aftermarket LED headlight that draws less voltage from the electrical system. So this is what it looks like with the blue wire mod activated. Turn the key on, and the headlight will come on. Start by disconnecting the negative terminal from your battery, and then this left side Vulcan 750 cover, take this off from the screw right here. So once you take off the screw here at the bottom, you just pull straight out and the cover comes off. And then right here is your junction box. At the junction box, find the 10-pin connector, which is the smaller one of the two-wire mod. We'll start with that one first. I'm also going to remove the junction box with this 10 mil bolt right here at the top. With the bolt loosened, you can remove this top bracket here, and then the junction box kind of sits inside of the bottom bracket right there, and you lift it up and it comes right on out. Down here at the smaller 10-pin connector, you should see out of one of these empty holes with mine, one of these empty ports, you should see one yellow and red wire, and you should see one black and red wire. You're not going to see that on my Vulcan because when I did this mod 2 years ago, I simply just removed them out of the junction box here, out of this 10-pin connector at the bottom. But what's down here, this isn't the important part for the two-wire mod. The important part is actually up here. So you see how I've got the yellow and red wire junctioned together with the black and red wire. These right here are the two wires that are important for this two-wire mod because they feed back and are being sensed to give power to the ignition and the starter system. So by doing this two-wire mod, you avoid going through the prone-to-fail relay here in the junction box. And if anything in the relay or the junction box fails, without this mod, it could take out other systems with it. Also, the safety switches here in the junction box could be why your Vulcan 750 is having issues starting. So this 2-wire mod can help with that issue as well. So again, you can either leave the 2 wires here at the 10-pin connector connected and then jumper them together, like in this video by Alex H., or you can take them out like I did. But whatever you choose, so long as you have these 2 wires securely and safely jumpered together, that's all you got to do for this mod. And then when you put the junction box back, you can just kind of tuck this aside and just make sure it doesn't get pinched or stuck on anything. One more note about the 2-wire mod. So you know how you're supposed to put together the yellow-red wire with the black-red wire? Well, if you can't find the black and red striped wire, that's because Kawasaki also on these Vulcan 750s used all black instead of black and red. So in that case, if you don't have a black-red wire, you'd want to splice together the yellow-red wire with the all-black wire. So that covers the 2-wire mod. Now let's do the blue-wire mod. Whereas the 2-wire mod deals with this smaller 10-pin connector, now with the blue-wire mod, we're going to be working with this larger 8-pin connector. I'm going to remove this large 8-pin connector on the top of the junction box to better show you the blue-wire mod. To remove the connector, use your thumb and push down on this tab right here, and as you're pushing down, you want to be pulling it apart, and it should come out. Let's take a closer look at this connector. Tab side facing up, and I'm going to point it kind of forward like that to kind of show you the back end. So on your Vulcan 750, if the blue wire mod has not been done, you see this blue wire there? It should be in this bottom connector, this bottom port. So all you got to do with the blue wire mod is take the blue wire out from here and then put it in this empty spot right up there. So put your blue wire where my blue wire is. You also want some sort of small, thin, flathead screwdriver. I've got these precision screwdrivers meant for, I don't know, clocks and whatnot. And I try to use the smallest flathead that I have and get inside the connector to push down on a tab to pull out the blue wire without damaging the blue wire. I'll show you what that looks like. Now we're looking at the bigger 8-pin connector from the front, and this little tabby piece is at the top. So your blue wire should be in this bottom port here, and then you want to move it to this top port, which is where I have it for this blue wire mod. And to do so, to get that wire out, it's a little bit tricky. It takes some trial and error, but with a really small screwdriver like that, you see that white tab at the top inside here of that port? You want to put the screwdriver in, and then you want to kind of like push up on this tab right there. Push up on the tab, and at the same time, pull the blue wire right there. Pull the blue wire out from the back. So if you can do it with one hand, or if you can do it with 2 hands, great. If you need extra help, extra hands, that can also help you out. Like I said, this is a little bit tricky. Push up on that tab and pull out on that blue wire at the same time. Then plugging it in is way easier. You just put it in this top port, push it in until you hear a click, and that is the blue wire mod. Since you've got the junction box out and you're looking at it, also give it a good inspection. Make sure all those copper pins in here are clear of corrosion and any kind of dirt or anything. And if you got it, or if you wanted to go out and get it, I think a little bit of dielectric grease in here helps out, keeps the moisture, it keeps any water out, and it also facilitates easier removal the next time you got to get in here. So let's put this junction box back together. Plug in the large 8-pin connector back into the top. This tab piece here fits in right there just like that. You'll know you got it in when you hear a very light click from this little tab there when you plug in the connector back into the junction box. Now to get it back into the battery holder, you just kind of go in from the top, and there's this little nub there. This goes into the bracket, and then from there, we'll put this top bracket back on, the bolt, 10mm bolt, through that hole right there. Make sure that you get this bracket inside, like underneath this top piece right there. See how this bracket goes underneath That way it'll allow the bracket to sit properly and the bolt to go all the way in to hold the junction box on securely. Next, put this cover back on by aligning these two nubs with these two holes here. Push in the cover, just like that, and then get this screw secured into the bottom. And that wraps up the 2-wire mod and blue wire mod for the Kawasaki Vulcan 750. Questions or comments, put them down below, and also see the description down below for helpful links, references, posts to the VN 750 forum, and also corrections, any kind of things that I got to correct in this video after the fact. Thank you very much for watching.